All right, folks, so the phrase demography as destiny is attributed to French philosopher, also the famed father of sociology, Auguste Comte. And essentially it means that you need to have a growing population to have a growing economy. With that in mind, take a look at this. This is the birth rate of United States. And I got to tell you, if the statement, either that statement Auguste made is a lie or this is going to catch up to us later. I happen to believe it's the latter. It will catch up to us later. So the question, of course, is can or will Gen Z come to the rescue? I want to bring in now New York Post columnist Rikki Schlott. All right, Rikki. The 65 and older crowd will be 37% of our population come 2040. We need you guys to come to the rescue.
Yeah, I don't have too much faith in us, unfortunately. I mean, statistically speaking, the majority of young people who are childless right now, 56% say that they just simply don't want children. It's not even that it's a factor of circumstance. And I hear frequently from my friends, they're worried about bringing kids into a dying planet and a climate catastrophe or the state of the world right now. And so I think it's even a little bit more ideological with young people today.
20 years ago, a professor in Japan, now Japan has always been ahead of us on this sort of social media, internet kind of stuff. And these improvised, these games where you become the person in the game. So he came up with a phrase called grass eaters. Essentially, it was the young men there rejected their parents. Their parents were proud. They would work for the same company for 50 years. They would do a 2-hour commute both ways. And they were really proud of that. Instead, these kids, they slept all day. They played video games all night. They immersed themselves into this world. Their population is going to go from 120 million people to 80 million people. And about 50% of them said they have no interest in sex at all. The reason I bring that up is you wrote a pretty provocative article. It's called When It Comes to Sex, My Generation is Screwed. I mean, is this a similar situation?
Yeah, I mean, I think that one thing that we have here that's even worse is our partisan politics situation where we know that boys are going to the right and women are going to the left. And increasingly, they're saying that they refuse to date someone on the other side of the aisle. So more than half of women say that being a conservative is a red flag. More than half say listening to Joe Rogan is a red flag. And so I think we're kind of headed towards a demographical disaster if we can't bridge the divide, at least putting politics on the back burner for romance.
How do you put it on the backside? How do you put it on the side when it's everywhere? I mean, it's, you know, it's hard to find any part of the society, TV commercials, television shows, articles, books are being rewritten and re-edited in certain ways. How do you put it aside when it feels like who's ever pulling the strings actually trying to make it worse?
Well, I mean, that's why I think that we're really in a tough spot, young people. I mean, as a libertarian young woman, I'm often told, like, oh, it's a breath of fresh air because you're not going to be offended by everything that I say.
So are you kind of in the middle? Like, you're in a lonely island almost, aren't you?
Well, yeah, I mean, I think the out-group dissenters are sort of the most valuable commodities. I know a lot of young men who play up their woke positions in order to get women, and they say that it's been pretty effective, actually.
You know, there was an old saying, and I would think it still applies, that when you're young and you don't have a heart, like it goes something to the fact that when you're young and you're not liberal, then you don't have a heart. Yeah. When you're older and you're not conservative, you don't have a brain.
Yeah.
I mean, could it just be that same thing going on? Is there something deeper?
I think that the crazier part is that we just know that young people are forking. So it's less a factor of age. We know that the boys are going right and the girls are going left.
Is that because the young men feel hopeless? I mean, this is a society that's been trying to rewrite the fact that women make less than men, and it feels like the push has been to give women a push. And it's come at the expense of men or young men.
Absolutely. A lot of young men, I think, definitely feel like the girl power stuff is disproportionate and that boys are disenfranchised in society today. I would also say that I think the left right now really panders to some more female proclivities to be more empathetic and emotional and want to protect people and do the right thing and be charitable. And so I do think that there is almost a feminization of the left wing.
So I think I've got good news for you.
Okay.
A new app is on the way. Are you ready for it?
I am ready for it.
All right. This app starts with it scores your here we go. This is your score, your dating app for people with good credit. So at the very least, you're getting a 675 on up. I mean, would that help?
I'm not sure about this one. I mean, I think it's an interesting conversation starter, but I think if you're filtering particularly for financial reasons, it might be a little transactional for my taste.
Really? I mean, isn't one of the big mistakes is people don't have honest conversations about finance, or when it comes to young folks, it's still about
the first
magnetism.
Date, though,
yeah.
I don't know if you're building your credit, if you've forgot one bill, but you're headed back on the right track. I don't want to just filter you out for that reason.
Demographics as destiny. Are we? Right now, it feels almost like we're not going to catch up. I mean, is it possible to ever have another baby boom?
I don't know. I mean, I do think that there's like a small subgroup of Gen Zers who are starting to come around and realize that like a traditional family
I saw
life
something
is
the
valuable.
other day where women, young ladies at high school, at college graduation, were all wearing engagement rings. I mean,
I think there's a little revival of some traditional values, but I would say by and large, my generation is more skeptical, even if it's a financial element as well too. I mean, don't underestimate how many young people are just underwater with student loans that they can't pay back too, and $250,000.
you can still get married, you can still have kids.
$250,000 to raise the average kid up to 18 today. I mean, it is crazy. So I think that there's a whole host of reasons, and I'm not too optimistic.
I will tell you, having a daughter is the reason I succeeded on Wall Street. I was cold calling, 100% commission. I would have quit if it was not for me having a baby.
Wow.
So that made me successful. Rikki, thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right.